Britain's Got Talent has been a shocker of a series this year, but that's live TV for you. Any number of things can go wrong when you're broadcasting live across the nation. And unfortunately for the ITV talent show, they've had a few stumbles this series. But as they say, the show must go on, and we can all agree it's been a cracking year for BGT. As Sunday's final draws ever closer, we take a look back at all the mishaps so far. Surely nothing else can go wrong, right? It's been an eventful series. Image, ITV, a missing presenter. BGT has been presented by Geordie duo Ant and Dec ever since it kicked off in 2007. But this year, Dec Donnelly was left to take on the duties alone for the very first time. Beth's pal Anne McPartlin bowed out of the show after he was caught driving his car. Ant was charged with the crime and went to court, where he was handed a record £86,000 fine, taking time off from his job to focus on rehab. While Ant featured in the audition stages of the contest, filmed before the car crash, Dec took to the stage alone when the live semi-finals kicked off on Monday. Dec made a grand entrance. He joked about Ant not being there, and he even made a cheeky joke about his missing friend. After starting on the roof of the Hammersmith Apollo, he came flying down on his circus ring during Diversity's Greatest Showman-themed opening performance. After getting onto the ground, he said, "The talent is as good as ever, the judges are the same, and the presenters, probably best not to dwell on that. Let's get on with the show." Technical difficulties. Just a few minutes into the first semi-final, the bad weather in London dramatically forced the show off air. A selection of 2018 audition highlights were shown as the show was taken off air after just one act had performed. Dec eventually welcomed back the audience, blaming the weather in London for the technical difficulties. The judges by storming on stage to press their buzzers. Placement, in line, duration, 24, id, 5,791,044,059,001, uploader, Jasper Pickering, source, 06BEF9C772FF856FCDFB6F8F237B9C80, content vertical, undefined, site, undefined, clearance, network, source. And Simon even joked that Ant had sabotaged the broadcast. He said, "Ant, you are coming back next year, you didn't need to do that." A stage invader. The show was rocked by an intruder who stormed on stage to press the judges' buzzers during the second semi-final. The judges were left terrified, particularly screaming Amanda Holden and Alicia Dixon, when the stage invader ran in front of them. Amanda's buzzer was the only one not pressed, but after they turned off, Simon slammed his down, claiming it was for the intruder. Simon was caught giving the intruder a rude two-finger salute to show his frustration before putting his head in his hands. Judge A storming off. Alicia Dixon and Amanda Holden stormed off during one act after their dresses were ruined. Inventor and magician Marty Putz became the first act to receive 4 buzzers this week after his performance became utterly chaotic. The last straw for Amanda and Alicia was when their dresses were ruined after they were pelted with liquid. As Marty and Dec began to throw toilet roll, the pair left the stage and were clearly not happy. And the Judge A stormed off. Image, ITV. Simon also stormed off from spin-off Britain's Got More Talent after David Walliams cheekily suggested he'd romped with Amanda Holden. The 58-year-old judge, whose girlfriend Lauren Silverman sat behind him, snapped at David for crossing the line by making the joke. Simon, David, Alicia Dixon and Amanda were appearing on Britain's Got More Talent after the results show and were asked silly questions by host Stephen Mulhern. A giddy David continued to misbehave, resulting in some glares from Simon, as they wrote down answers on individual whiteboards. By storming on stage to press their buzzers. Placement, inline, duration, 24, id, 5,791,044,059,001, uploader, Jasper Pickering, source, 06BEF9C772F856FCDFB6F8F237B9C80, content vertical, undefined, site, undefined, clearance, network, source URL, video player, Brightco, video title, hilarious moment, stage hand is caught off guard during Britain's Got Talent performance. Placement, inline, duration, 32, id, 5. Both Alicia and Amanda wrote down themselves, but David had his own cheeky response. Grinning, he lifted his whiteboard which read, Amanda, because they did it. Host Stephen shifted awkwardly but Simon's face was thunderous. You've crossed the line, Simon pointed out. Big Narsty's big bust-up. Things got a little nasty on Britain's Got More Talent when rapper Big Narsty violently shoved a contestant who tried to dance with him. Comedian Robert White, who made it through to Sunday's Live final, was celebrating his victory on the spin-off show when things kicked off. As Anne-Marie performed on the ITV2 show, hosted by Stephen Mulhern, 41-year-old Robert, who has Asperger's syndrome, jokingly tried to dance with Big Narsty, grabbing hold of his wrist. Big Narsty shoved Robert. Image, ITV. The rapper clearly had no interest though, and looked at the comedian before shoving him away with both hands, sending Robert flying backwards and out of the shot. The move made host Stephen pull an awkward face, but thankfully Robert wasn't too upset about it. He later took to Twitter to say they'd made up afterwards. Simon's forced proposal to Lauren. Simon was left a little red-faced when David suggested he should propose to girlfriend Lauren Silverman live on the show. While giving feedback to one of the acts on Monday night's show, David Walliams turned to Simon and said, "You know what, Simon, it's romantic, and this would be an ideal moment to propose to Lauren." Simon was asked about proposing to Lauren. Image, ITV. Alicia Dixon burst out laughing as Simon nervously laughed off David's suggestion. The cameras cut to Lauren in the audience, and she too chuckled at the situation. The crowd then began chanting, "Do it, do it, do it," as Amanda Holden waved a Union flag in Simon's face. The contestant, who almost died on stage, paramedics were forced onto the Britain's Got Talent stage mid-performance after an escapologist nearly died, live on air. Daredevil Matt Johnson, who somehow survived his audition, was back for another death-defying performance. The stakes were incredibly high as Matt was not only hoping to earn a place in the BGT final, but also keep himself alive, to the astonishment of top judge Simon Cowell. And that proved true when production staff moved in and he seemingly gestured for help. Matt was locked into solid steel straitjack secured with padlocks, clamped around the chest, and had a clear box around his head secured with 2 more padlocks. He almost died. Image, ITV. There were also 2 chains around his body and secured to his wrists with handcuffs. The restrictions made it difficult enough to breathe, but that was made impossible when the box filled up with water. Matt only had a single lockpick in order to escape and claimed once it began it could not be stopped. The timer quickly reached 1.45, the time he said would mean trouble, so paramedics quickly moved towards him. Matt was flailing his hands towards them and it seemed he would have to be forcibly removed to save his life. One trick included a see-through box, but viewers were in hysterics when a shocked member of the production staff ended up being caught up in the act. The man looked stunned as he was seen behind the box, before quickly ducking down and leaving the stage.